coming, coming, in their ragged, broken line, walking wounded in the sunlight, clothed in majesty divine. For the fairest of the lilies that God's summer ever sees, ne'er was clothed in royal beauty such as decks the least of these. Tattered, torn, and bloody khaki, gleams of white flesh in the sun, raiment worthy of their beauty and the great things they have done. Purple robes and snowy linen have for earthly kings sufficed. But these bloody, sweaty tatters were the robes of Jesus Christ. As I've said, our aim this morning is to connect war with communion, man's bloodshed with God's. How do we do that? By having a particular worldview. And it seems to me that the only place to go to for a right worldview are the early chapters of this book. We ignore the first 11 chapters of Genesis at our peril. For in the space of just those few chapters is a worldview which makes sense and is true. Genesis means beginnings, origins. Where's the origin of sexuality, of marriage, of identity, of Sabbath, of creation and care for God's creation? And so we could go on from just those few chapters. And also the origins of war, of man's inhumanity to man, of murder, and of terrorism. I'm going to ask you a question this morning. Who was the first terrorist in this world? Well, listen to these verses from Genesis chapter 4. Adam made love to his wife Eve. There's the sexuality. And she became pregnant and gave birth to Cain. She said, "With the help of the Lord, I have brought forth a man." Later, she gave birth to his brother Abel. Now, Abel kept flocks, and Cain worked the soil. In the course of time, Cain brought some of the fruits of the soil as an offering to the Lord. And Abel also brought an offering, fat portions from some of the firstborn of his flock. Incidentally, the origins of salvation, and a pointer to the lamb being the sacrifice. The Lord looked with favor on Abel and his offering, but on Cain and his offering he did not look with favor. So Cain was very angry, and his face was downcast. Then the Lord said to Cain, "Why are you angry? Why is your face downcast? If you do what is right, will you not be accepted? But if you do not do what is right, sin is crouching at the door. It desires to have you, but you must rule over it." Now Cain said to his brother Abel, "Let's go out to the field." And while they were in the field, Cain attacked his brother Abel and killed him. Then the Lord said to Cain, "Where is your brother Abel?" "I don't know," he replied. "Am I my brother's keeper?" And the Lord said, "What have you done? Listen, your brother's blood cries out to me from the ground." Cain was the first terrorist, the first murderer. And so it has gone on ever since. The blood of Abel, as I've said, points us to the blood of Christ. The earth is filled with the bloodshed of man, but the earth is also redeemed by the bloodshed of a man, the Son of Man. There's a quotation in Isaiah, which we often use at Christmas, and we divorce it from the context. You remember the quotation, "Unto us a son is born, unto us a child is given." What is the previous verse? Every warrior's boot used in battle and every garment rolled in blood will be destined for burning, will be fuel for the fire. Because to us a child is born, to us a son is given, and the government will be on his shoulders, and he will be called Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace. I was listening to a radio program this week in which a well-known war reporter, or war photographer, Sir Don McCallum, who has retired recently, and he said this: "Every time I'm in the middle of a war scene, taking my photographs, I think to myself, this has to be the end. But always there is another waiting in the wings." What are we to make? What is our worldview of this? Listen to this verse from Hebrews. We come to Jesus, the mediator of a new covenant, and to the sprinkled blood that speaks a better word than the blood of Abel. Is that your worldview this morning? With all the bloodshed that has been shed, with all the dry earth that has soaked up man's blood over the generations, what is the answer? Well, the answer is a sacrifice better than that of the blood of Abel. What I want to try and convey this morning is the cosmic nature of the death of Jesus, and also the personal nature of it. That blood of Abel, which God said cried out to him from the ground, surely every spot of blood that has ever since been shed has also cried out to God from the ground. There's a very daring statement which Paul makes in Acts chapter 20 when he's speaking his farewell address to the elders in the Ephesian church. He says, "Keep watch over yourselves and all the flock of which the Holy Spirit has made you overseers. Be shepherds of the church of God, which he bought with his own blood." The very one to whom the man's blood cries out is the one who has shed his blood for it. That's the only reference you will get in the Bible to the blood of God. There are the famous words of Winston Churchill during a wartime speech, which go like this: "Never in the field of human conflict has so much been owed by so many to so few." Listen, friends, on a cosmic scale, never. In the field of human conflict has so much been owed by so many to one person, whose name is Jesus, but actually to the few, to the triune God, who has intervened with his own blood in the bloodshed of the world. Paul has some wonderful words to describe the cosmic nature of the death of Jesus Christ. He's put powers and principalities to flight and made a public spectacle of them to the whole universe through the cross. But it's also personal. He also wrote, "He loved me and gave himself for me." When I visited Israel a number of years ago, I remember distinctly going to the place where it is thought that Jesus was crucified, Golgotha, Calvary, and being rather astonished to find that it was right next to a bus station. That is a picture for me of the extent to which God has intervened and come into our world, right into the tabernacle of our world, when he took on flesh and gave it up for us. The people who go about on buses, the people whose lives are rather mundane most of the time, he did it for us. That's how personal it is. We're going to sing a hymn now.